do you want to know? What shall I do?
Could you play us something?
Yeah.
Would that be okay? Would that be a good idea?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then we can, maybe ask some questions. Or
Yeah.
say a few things. But can you maybe tell us about this guitar?
Yeah. This. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll play you something. I just went through and Dave's filed was in there. And I just went. It's in Dadgad. I thought I'll play something in Dadgad this afternoon. This is the brand new filed GG signature, an upgraded version of it, because it came out about 16 years ago, which is rosewood and spruce top. It's a fairly small body. I think it's the same size. It's not the Alchemist, was it? No, the Alchemist is a big body. It's a fairly small body, but that model had rosewood back and sides, spruce top, ebony fingerboard, completely plain, just dot marks down the side, and it had a scalloped truss rod cover, so I could do the old bent harmonics. There's only one piece I do use in the bent harmonic, but he thought we could do that, so he scalloped that, so there's a bit more space behind the second and first string to do a bit of string bending. And again, short scale. And all these years on, I was chatting to Rog. It's going back 2 years ago now. I said about upgrading the signature model. He said, I think it's a great idea. So I do love maple. It's a beautiful guitar, beautiful wood, which it is, and cedar. And I said, what about making one with a? And that kind of then got him excited, because it's something different. If you know Roger Bucknell, you know what he loves to do things that are different, and it's a challenge for him and keeps him interested in what he's doing. And so this was the result. The difference is that the neck is slightly narrower than the first one, and it's got these beautiful diamond cut inlays in the fingerboard, but still the short scale thing.
The maple's quite bright, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I a couple of years ago, I bought an old 1966 Levin acoustic. Exactly the same model as the one that Pete Townsend had when he was in a band prior to The Who. If you go look through the Who archives, because Pete Townsend was a big influence on my playing. You go through the Who archives, there's pictures of him with Roger Daltrey playing the trombone and then whistle on the French horn, and there's Pete on the with the Levin. But they were maple back and sides, and it's got a very somebody. I was with a great guitar maker called Gary Southwell. Have you heard of Gary Southwell?
Yeah.
Great classical guitar maker, and he said, I like maple. He said it gives a very lyrical sound. I thought it's a great way of describing it, lyrical, and it is. It's a certain sweetness, a certain overtone to it.
Yeah.
And with the cedar top, it does the trebles speak very quickly. Doesn't have quite as the same depth or that nobleness that the big files have with rosewood. But it's just great. It just works for me. I love it. And it's got a certain depth to it, but a certain sweetness to it as well. And I've got good old the Fishman Rare Earth pickup in there, which I use on all the guitars now. It's because I use several on stage. You need that consistency of volume each time you swap guitars. So that's what I use. So I'll stick this into Dadgad and do something on Dadgad. Yeah.
You say short scale. Do you know what scale is?
I haven't a clue. You would know.
My guess, 24 and a half.
What do you think?
The short scale Martins are 24.9. Yeah.
So,
But it's probably about that, I would say.
Yeah. I just played the thing and just think, this feels all right.
Yeah, that's a short scale. I feel it's so much more comfortable. My fingers are so short.
you got 12 fret sweeps, 24 longer.
No, it's 650 mil, which is 25.6.
an old chestnut of mine called Isabella's Wedding, and I start a lot of my concerts off with this now, instead of actually going in and trying the fast stuff, because I'm old now, you see. Well, they just ease into it a bit, eh? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, warm up, you know.
Yeah. No, I noticed you're,
Getting there warmed up a bit anyway.
you're using your little finger a hell of a lot more than I think most of us do. Is that because you're using a plectrum? Do you find that easier for the Why?
Why?
Or is it just the
No.
way that it just happened to unfold?
Over the years, I keep asking myself that question. Why? Why? It's quite simple. When I started out, I think when I was about 16 or 17, when I was really listening to the good stuff, i.e. Bert and John, and I was trying to play Angie using just the plectrum, trying to get the bass. Can you imagine that? And do you know I did it? I managed to do it. So as you know, go. So yeah, I don't know how I did it, but I did. You know, but it probably was a bit rough. But I thought, how did he get those double notes? And then the little finger, I started to play.
Yeah.
You know, the double stopping with the little finger, and it stayed that way. Never changed. Never changed. And the advantages are obvious.
Yeah.
They're obvious. Not from the point of view of what I can play or what you've just heard, but from the point of view of you can go. I tell you, I'm going to do a little demonstration. This is leading on. This is the way you can go from picking to strumming instantly, right? You know, from power chords to very delicate picking. Because I'm using the pick and the little finger, I'm getting a very clean sound. You know, it's almost like a harpsichord sound, which just evolved out of pure and utter ignorance. You know, I'm like a lot of guitar players. I've never had a lesson. You know, going for a guitar lesson. What, you know, I taught myself how to tune the thing when I was 12. Learned to try and play this stuff like all of us did by slowing the record down when everything was on vinyl, and thinking, yes, I've nailed it. These are the notes that he's playing. And then you go and see the artist in question. In my case, it was Bert, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, his hands are up there. No, that's wrong. You know. Then you realise there are several positions you can play with the guitar. You can play the same note, and so that's how it evolved, and it stayed that way. And there kind of wasn't any need to change.
Yeah.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's I can see bring up these two. Because most of the time we'd use our ring finger, essentially, instead of how you use your little finger.
Yeah.
But if you're using your little finger as well, it does free up those middle ones.
Not using the other two then?
I don't use the other
You don't
two.
use them at all?
No. No. I tell you a lovely story about with John. I tell this story and I get a great pleasure out of telling it because I toured with Johnny Remborn and I were good pals, and I toured with him in the mid-70s prior to releasing an album called Visionary, which came out in 76, was a kind of a landmark album. There's always, everything is pre, isn't it? Like what I did pre to Visionary and post Visionary and pre getting poorly and whatever in your life, there's a kind of landmark. She said, oh yeah, did that before then or after then? And I was just sitting around one day and he said, oh God, he said, because he said, that plectrum and fingers, that technique you use. He says, really? I said, I don't use the other fingers, John. He said, what? I said, I only use pick a little finger. He went, oh no, that's worse. That's even worse. Because he was, you know, John was very gracious, and very, you know, he would always be the first to tell you how good you were, or very encouraging. He was not at all snobby about guitar players, unless he really disliked them, then he would be. But you know, but in the main, you know, that was quite a revelation for him. He didn't know. A lot of people still don't know. They think they use the other. Occasionally, I use the back of the fingers on certain pieces for like downward, you know. But in the main, that's all I use. But we were chatting earlier about the Reverend Gary Davis, the great Reverend Gary Davis, thumb and first finger.
Yeah.
So all I've got is a 2-finger technique. That's all it is. It's not unusual. It's just that I'm using the little finger.
Yeah.
But Gary Davis, thumb and first finger. What a great virtuoso he was.
Mm-hmm.
John Martin, thumb and first finger. Got so much stuff going.
Yeah.
So it's not that unusual, but in some ways it's a bit daft and a bit cack-handed because you think, well, you could get more going with the other fingers as well. So,
there's a lot of country players who play Telecaster with a pick.
Yeah.
And fingers.
But they use fingers. Albert Lee does.
Yeah.
He uses pick and, you know, he uses these two. And I think you were saying, Charles, he uses the 4-finger as well. Yeah. It's probably why he gets so much stuff going, really. But shall I play you a piece that incorporates the two?
Please.
Can I ask you a question? The Isabella's feast, a wedding. Sorry.
Yeah.
What did you write it for?
That was
a show?
it was a show. I originally started out as a much shorter piece called Beachcomber.
Yeah.
When I was writing for a magazine called Total Guitar many years ago. I was doing a column for them, and I submitted it as Beachcomber, but it was only short. And then I was asked to be in the show with Cliff Richard called Heathcliff, theatrical production.
Yeah.
And I thought, great, it's that lineage, you see. I thought, being in a show with Cliff, and Hank Marvin started it all for everybody.
Yeah, right.
You know, so Hank was my hero. So to have that connection with Cliff as well was great. So I did that for 7 months, and I wrote a few things whilst in the show, and I developed Isabella's wedding into the longer piece that it is today.
But isn't the story that you actually started to do some sort of alternative parts or something, alternative notes, and he spotted that you were playing it a bit differently? And you got a bit concerned that you were trying to jazz it up a bit. Is that not so?
It's quite possible.
Okay.
It's quite possible.
Okay.
I remember
Then
playing.
you said you made a mistake, and he said,
Yes, he
two
did.
nights running.
Yes, correct. Thank you. Thank you very much for reminding me. Yeah, Cliff Richard is a very good musician. His ears are amazing. His sense of harmony, and he said to me afterwards. He said, "Oh, you made a mistake tonight, didn't you?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "But I did repeat it." He said, "Yeah." He said, "Hank Marvin does that all the time." But Cliff is really on the ball. He's a perfect. He knows. Yeah, that's exactly the story. I'm going to play you a picking thing first of all, okay? Which is in relation to composition. Are you interested in chatting about composition?
Yeah,
of course you are, because we all write stuff. I'll just play a little section, and this is it in Dadgad, right? And it goes like this. First bit. Right, quite sweet, isn't it? And I wrote the whole piece. It's called Rachel's Reflections. I'm going to put this back into normal tuning now. Eh? That was Dadgad.
Yeah, that's normal.
You come to this event and if you find out
Everything's normal.
tuning
Everything's normal, isn't it? Now I'm putting it into another tuning now. It's called Normal.
Oh, is that the Yadgabee one? I can't get on with that. It's too weird. It's too weird, man.
What's that?
Yadgabee.
I like it. Yeah, it could be. Fender's just dropped thinking, I'll do that. Yeah, oh yeah, it's normal tuning.
It's not catchy, is it?
It's not
It's
catchy.
not,
Yeah, it could be.
Exactly.
I tell this joke on stage. So this is a piece in Dadgad. I said, but I'm working on a piece in Fagbag. I said, it sounds shite. Fagbag. Anyway. So
Baghdad ones.
Baghdad.
Yeah, quite interesting.
Yeah. I've tried a few. It's something. Deadbad is another one. Deadbad. Kind of.
I'm bad, Dad.
Yeah, it kind of works. So remember that first riff. Now this is where it came from. A piece called Maddie Goes West. I'm doing this. Right, the riff again. In Dadgad is what you just heard before. And that was one of the rare examples in my life where I didn't have to work at finding something. I just was playing in Dadgad and I played that riff. I thought, oh, it's a tune. I'll follow that. So it was like a gift, really. So it sometimes it does work playing different shapes or familiar shapes in different tunings to see what comes up. So that's a prime example. But the point we're making about this picking technique, so you can go from note taken?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's useful.
Transition was amazing.
Yeah, you know. But the other thing as well, which is again the sort of things you do when you're playing things, like with Isabella's wedding, I went from the picking thing to the harping thing, and people say, well, where's the pick then? And I subconsciously just tuck it in there.
That's where you park it.
That's where I park it. Yeah.
Is that what you were doing when you were doing the plucked harmonic?
Yeah. So you can do the. Park it there. I didn't even know I was doing it. So I said, "Where'd you put that?" And I said, "Well, oh yeah, that's where it goes." So it's that thing of switching, you know, from the picking to the strumming, and then you can do the harping technique as well.
Daddy's here. Another Daddy.
Does everybody like using partial capos?
Yeah.
Aren't they great?
They're great fun. Easy, get away with loads. Dead simple and sounds effective.
Well, in what area do you use it, sir? What sort of do you use it? Do you use just like this is one I made earlier.
Yeah, I have one that I've cut down so I can have a 5-string capo, so I can use D so you got the drop D, but all the notes for the bass is in the right place.
Yeah.
Except you've got a bit awkward to get the E minor, but you can do it. And I use one that covers 3 strings, which one way gives you a dad-gad sound and the other way gives you open A, depending which way over you put it.
Brilliant.
So
I've got I was given a really nice G7 partial capo, but I prefer this one because I made it myself. It's the old Kaiser capo. Is yours a Kaiser?
I've got one spring that's a Kaiser, and the other one's a G7.
Yeah, and I cut this down, as you've done, and just smoothed it all off, and I made that a bit smoother, and I got some gaffer tape and put it on there, and I just love it. It just works, you know. You just get familiar with things, don't you? Well, with mine, I just put mine on the just there.
Oh, I'll have to try that one.
All right. And that's all I've ever. There's another piece I did where I drew a drop D and I put it over the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. But I tell people about the partial capo, and they sort of think it's cheating, but it's not. It's a creative tool because there's no way you could get that sonic effect without using a partial capo.
And
it's
it
not
changes
possible.
where the notes are. So if you're used to playing in one style, the bits that work in that normal tune don't work. So you have to learn something different.
It's just fantastic. I'll play you a piece called.
So is that just covering 4 strings on there?
Sorry?
Is that covering 4 or 3 strings?
It's covering 3.
Right.
So it's covering 3.
Bass strings out.
So it's just. It's almost like a dad gate. Well, it's not actually. It's not dad gate. What am I on about? So you've got 2 unisons there. Well, you're welcome.
I'll try that later.
It's in standard tuning. And of course you've got the open strings as well. Should I do that Sadie and May piece in it as well, Charles? The one you liked with the taking the 1st and 2nd string up a semitone, which is interesting. Again, using the open strings because a lot of my style, a lot of the way I write is using open strings, which I love. Is as much open strings ringing out against fretted notes as possible, as far as I'm concerned. There's a chap called Chris Dummigan who transcribes a lot of my stuff, and he said to me, you know, I've analysed your pieces and the way you play. He said your music or your compositions are very much like the early lutenists. He said they used to use a lot of open strings, which I didn't know because I don't play the lute. But then when you think about it, it makes sense. The lute's got a very short. Have you ever built lutes in the early days?
I built one.
You built one. I thought you would have done. Yeah, but very short fingerboard, really.
Yeah.
You know, so when you think about it, they had to get as much sound as possible out of that space. I would have thought. Hence the reason for the open use of the open strings. But let's play you a couple. I'll play you the Shining Morning. There's another thing.
What's it called?
Oh, that's called Shining Morn.
Shining Morn.
Shining Morn, yeah. This piece I really like, but I never can remember it. It's there somewhere. The point I'm making is there's two different completely styles of music using just that position there, and the use of that the inspiration that came by using the partial capo. I think it's great piece of
I've never
kit.
really used one at all. I bought a spider capo years ago, but I never got along with it. I bought a third-hand capo, never used it.
Yeah.
But I like what it does with these partial capos. I like the concept behind it, but I've never really spent the time exploring it.
No, well, I think you can. I mean, I could probably go on and on with partial capos, but then you think, why? Is there enough life? How many more things can you do with this? Provide the whole point of creating something is to say something and for it to be worthy, to communicate something,
Gordon, I forgot, but I put your fruit tea on the table.
Oh yeah.
If you wanted to take a sup of that,
I'll have a quick
I'm so
quick
sorry,
swig.
it's maybe so cold.
No, it's all right. Any other questions, gentlemen?
Yeah, what was that last week called?
Oh, that was called M's Tune. M's Tune, yeah. I did a whole series of partial capo pieces for Acoustic magazine a few years back. I did about 6 of them, using partial capos and different pieces. Same with C tuning. I'll share with you another tuning as well. We're talking about tuning everything in 4, so just taking the second and the first string up a semitone. Can't you hear? Yeah.
You're hearing a few folk clubs.
I was just about to say, it's just like being back at your local folk club, isn't it? And now Cyril's going to play us the streets of London. And now Angie. Whatever.
Somebody's Dawson around.
It's very difficult to do, actually. It's that piece that Clive does, and it sounds very Jewish. He calls it. This one's called Dueling Rabbis. Have you heard him do that one? It's just supposed to dueling banjos. Yeah. So what I've done with this one, I've just literally taken the first string up to C, and the second string up to C, first string up to F, and this is what I created with it. Open strings. You do realise you'll be hearing all this stuff later again, don't you? Through the PA. That's the only difference. difference with tonight is I'll be using some effects as well, and you know, we can go through that and talk about the different effects that you can use and, you know, how to utilise them. I'll be using the loop station as well.
So did you ever think of getting into sort of percussive stuff, or have you stayed clear of that?
Yeah, I stay clear of that. I've stayed clear of that for many reasons, because other people do it so much better. I mean, Eric Roach was one of the masters of it, kind of carrying on from what Michael Hedges was doing, and Newton Faulkner and all those people. They do it very well. Not really my thing. I'd sooner just play tunes. Play tunes. I don't really want to play the drums.
Yeah.
But I think it's incredibly clever. At one of my sharing days, I have about once every 2 months in Sutton Coldfield at the local scout hut. I do the best. I do a thing called a sharing day, and every event we have a special guest. And I had a young lady called Becky Langham.
Oh, no, Becky.
Yeah.
And she's lovely. Becky does all that tapping and
Tappy stuff.
yeah, and she's great. You know, she does it very well. She's a very sweet person.
She is, yeah. I met her in Austria last year.
Did you?
And yeah, it's lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely. She was meant to go on tour with my friend Guy, but she got repetitive strain injury.
That's right. That was around about that time. Yeah.
Yeah. So they asked me to go on tour in their place.
Yeah. Did you have to shave the beard off? Or?
No, I just grew the moustache. It was a deal breaker for some of the venues though. They were like, Becky's not here, like, so I'll do it. But yeah, I'm glad that she got better though.
Oh yeah, I think she told me about that tour. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm glad she's got better now.
Yeah. It must have been very, well, for all of us, you know, that RSI thing.
It's like one of the worst things that can ever happen.
Because once you set it off, it takes ages.
It takes ages. You just have to stop playing, like completely. Just let it heal.
Yeah.
Like, one of my friends had it, and it took him ages, about a year or so before it got better, because he wouldn't stop playing guitar. So it's hard.
I think classical players probably more kind of prone to it.
Yeah.
Because of the
Yeah.
mainly in the right hand.
Yeah.
You know, it's the repeated thing. You know, you have to get it just right. You know. Or John Williams with his ganglion all those years ago. Do you remember that? You said that he had a big lump coming up in his hand. And that's gone now. I don't know. They got rid of it, whacked it with a copy of the Bible or something. I don't know.
It's the classic cure, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Hold it and whack it with something heavy. No, thank you.
They do settle down, don't they? I mean, this is a nice thing, and to some extent one can adapt to things. You know?
Yeah.
One has to, you know?
Yeah.
Like I got this twisted finger about 2 years ago, and it was really painful because I think the joint had just collapsed,
Yeah.
and it just tipped over.
Well, the problem I've got, and fortunately nobody's spotted it yet, not to that degree, is my third finger. This finger, which is probably my weakest. I mean, my first and fourth are pretty strong, second, but whenever I play, it just flops over and starts deadening other strings. It's really annoying. Yeah. So what I'm trying to do now is actually concentrate when I'm playing. Actually, consciously try to lift the finger as I'm playing, so it doesn't do that. Yeah, but hasn't really ruined too much.
Massive fingers, aren't they?
Sorry?
They are massive fingers.
Well, my fingers?
Yeah.
Nah.
Are they not?
No.
They look massive in this light.
No, I got they're little. They're just normal.
Oh, it's my
size.
very vocals, yes.
That's what it is. Yeah. No, they're just normal. I suppose over the years I've tried to push them into positions they shouldn't go in, so therefore I've got fairly
Well,
good.
they're bigger than John's anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John Renborn's?
Yeah, aren't they? Well, it must be longer than John's. Never could be shorter than John's, surely.
No, mine. I don't think they're not big, are they? They're just.
They look pretty
Clive Carroll's hands are enormous.
Yeah.
Like plates of meat.
Yeah, he's a big lad, isn't he? You know, his hands are in proportion to the rest of him. You know, it's like
I wouldn't know.
let's not go there. Yeah. You know what they say? Big hands.
Later.
I mean, the great Alan Holdsworth. I mean, he had big hands. Johnny Etheridge, big hands. But don't have to. I mean,
Doesn't make much difference, I find.
Not really. It's
You
a
know,
Segovia.
like a touch,
It's
just
Segovia
short
short
fingers.
Yeah.
And he can still get the stretches.
Of course, yeah. It's what's happened is over the years, I think because of the things I play.
Is your tendon, do you think, has got slightly weaker? Why is it dropping?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's got weaker.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
No,
I don't think there's anything I can do about it.
he's a freak.
Well, too late now. Why bother?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Just keep, it's,
Elastic band round the wrist and onto there to keep it.
yeah, I've tried that.
Have you?
I've tried that. No, this ain't going to work. Yeah, I've tried that. Yeah. Well, I just need your questions, really. Otherwise,
You're right.
I'm going back to bed.
Sounds like a plan.
Or if not, it doesn't matter. I'll just carry on playing some stuff.
Yeah, no, questions for me?
Well, I think there might be tonight with the gear and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds
Yeah.
like a plan.
And any
Ruin your set later on.
Oh no, you'll be.
Stop you halfway through.
This-
Wait, what are you doing there?
I'm thinking you're being kind, but in actual fact, you're just bored.
Your work that you did a lot of wasn't acoustic, was it?
What yeah, always been
Always acoustic.
acoustic. Yeah, I mean, I mixed with the electric stuff. What happened?
Yeah.
What happened was I did this album in '76 called The Visionary, which I told you about.
Yeah.
And we were working on the album. The producers said, also they arranged the stuff as well. A very clever team. So this section we're going to have strings. I said, great. And this section over this chord sequence there'll be an electric guitar solo. And I said, that's great. And I said that. I said, yeah, who are you getting to do that? He said, you're doing it. And I said, I don't play electric guitar. Yes, you do. And they handed me a Telecaster, and I had to get on with it. It was all right. And yeah, I can get away with playing electric guitar a bit now. And what I've been able to do over the years, which I couldn't do before, is I've got a fairly reasonable kind of. I couldn't do that 30 years ago. I can now, and that's too late. So I've got a very fairly reasonable vibrato now, and I think the way technology's come along, you can get a really good overdrive sound now from a little box. You don't have to go through a big amp and do all that. But no, it was always acoustic. Started out 1966. I signed with Transatlantic. My first album came out in '68.
Oh, because you did a lot of work with Bill, didn't you?
Yeah, Bill Leader produced my first two
Is he
albums.
still alive?
Thank goodness, yes he is. Yeah, he must be looking at 90 now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, legend, absolute legend.
And he would record you in a very sort of domestic situation.
Unfortunately, it's an interesting thing. It's only as the years went on. I used to go to his flat because he lived opposite. John got his flat in Camden Town. It's opposite where Bill lived, a place called North Villas in Camden Town. He had this big. He rented this big 3-bedroom house. His mum lived on the ground floor and he lived in the second floor and upstairs. And everybody would turn up there. It's a great place to be. Bert's first album was recorded there on a couple of Revoxes, or an A Revox. And I think John's probably first and second album were recorded there, again on Revoxes. But when I did my albums, he wanted to book me into a studio, a place called Livingston Recordings, because Bill knew that I wasn't really an out-and-out folky. There was still that rock thing there that Pete Townsend kept creeping in, and he could see the potential in that. And hence, with the second album, I did a piece called Lucifer's Cage, which has become part of my repertoire, heavy metal piece.
Yeah.
He was using compressors and goodness knows what else, and it was like really heavy metal acoustic guitar, almost like the Pink Floyd approach.
Okay.
And it was amazing. He had that. I had no idea. I just would play the stuff. He said, "Come over, listen, see what we've done." So all these compressors and distortion, going from speaker to speaker. Amazing. Yeah. What am I going to do now? Play something else.
Yeah.
Do you want a bluesy type thing? Yes. Let's have a crack at this bluesy thing. Here's an interesting thing. I've got a scratch there. Did that get it? Called $5 Guitar, which I actually wrote the piece whilst watching TV, watching a documentary on Eric Clapton, and he was playing a Robert Johnson piece. And like all of us, we all practice whilst watching the telly, didn't we? Let's be honest, we do. And it's yeah. Well, I used an electric. That's the easiest, unless you plug it in. Put Marshall stack up next to the telly while she's trying to watch EastEnders. Yeah, so I've got this lovely little 1963 Guild. I think it's called it's not an M20. You know about Guilds.
F30, is it? Is it small?
Yeah, it might be an F20.
Okay.
An F20, yeah. So it's mahogany and spruce top. Very lightweight guitar, very beautiful thing, 63. And when you look at it, one shoulder's not the same size as the other one, which proves that they were making them by hand then, you know. It's lovely to see that. And I think the fingerball's Brazilian rosewood. I mean, just whatever they would get at the time. And I had this on my lap and I was watching the TV and I was just jamming along with him. And this riff arrived and I thought, well, this is all right, I'll stick with this. And that's how the piece came about. Anyway, I'll play it and then we'll have a look at it and see what you think about the different sections. That's a short version. I thought, quit while you're ahead, because every time I play it, it's never right on the money, but it's just what it is. But what I've learned with that piece, and I'm trying to, even as I'm playing it, is to try and, in my mind, put it into different compartments, and not to race ahead, as opposed to saying, okay, this is this hard riff coming up. Or you know, am I going to play it okay? Instead of actually saying, right, just play that bit. The next bit will take care of itself. And actually having the presence of mind to, if you like, slow down in places or mentally slow down, so you can actually do justice and play that section properly. So you got that fast section, which is. You know, it's not easy. It's not easy. But that you know, playing that and making sure that first string rings out before you go on to the next section. So each section is played as cleanly as possible. As a piece of music, it's a load of nonsense, really. It's not. I don't regard it as a great piece of music. It's something that I put into the set because I know the guitar players are going to like it. You know, it's just one of those guitar player's pieces, isn't it?
Well, when you practice it though, I mean, you obviously start playing it slowly.
Yeah.
You do, I mean, and you loop it.
Yeah.
Kind of,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Is the fast section meant to fit into that sort of beat?
Yeah, it's interesting because when I do this as a duo with John Etheridge whenever we used to play together, and he can never get it. He can never get the timing. It's actually 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So you go into the. That's. I think that's 4/4, isn't it? Section is 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. We're playing it with John Etheridge, he can never get it, so he's just going. Just putting the odd harmonic somewhere. Yeah, you know, I mean, John's a genius, you know, but he just didn't quite get the 3/4 thing.
Audience clapping on the 1 and 3, that will put them back.
Exactly, yeah. Don't clap along with this, whatever you do. So that's a bluesy thing. What else can I play you that's...
Well, were you going to play Lauren this afternoon, or did you want to sort of do that?
No, I'll play Lauren for you now.
Would you?
Yeah, yeah. And again, it's in D, C, G, C, G, C. One of my favourite tunings, actually, this. I'm playing the wrong section. Let's do that again. I'll remember the whole thing for tonight anyway. That's it. just going over again for my own benefit. Anyway, I think you get the general idea.
Yeah.
But not technically difficult to play. But the C tuning, which I love, brings out an awful lot. Sorry?
What are the notes of the strings?
Yeah, it's a D on the top, D, C, G, C, G, C. D, C, G, C, G, C. Very inspiring tuning. That's what it's all about, though, isn't it? To find something that can inspire you. And how many of us here teach? Our job, of course, as teachers is to inspire others, isn't it? Mm-hmm. To do greater things than what we do, really. That's our job, to inspire other people. Yeah. And it's the same with the guitar, same with the tuning, same whatever you get, if it inspires you to want to pick the thing up and create something. I've always admired other artists, not necessarily for their technique, but for their creativity. You analyse all the people that have influenced me. It's their creativity, not necessarily their playing. You don't go, I think, oh, he's a great player. Yeah, of course, Bert Jacks was a great player, but he was an individual player. You know, he couldn't do it all. He wasn't a great improviser. Bert couldn't do that. But what he did do, he did superbly. But it was his creativity, the things he wrote. Same with John, all these beautiful tunes, Lady Nothing and Sweet Potato, and just, you know.
Why do you think they fell out?
Alcohol.
Oh, okay.
Burnt down.
Yeah. Well, I mean, by both of them?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was 50-50.
Yeah. Well, you see, what happened was, because I knew them both well, and I used to hear two sides of the story.
Yeah.
With Bert, when I used to spend time with Bert, that was before he and John got back together again.
Yeah.
And Jackie said to me, when John had a drink, he said the evil came on him.
Oh,
That's the term.
ballistic.
He used to become very, very nasty.
Yeah. Really.
And Bert said he would start slagging Bert off and start slagging his family off.
Yeah.
And Bert thought, he can't talk to me like that. I was surprised he didn't come to fisticuffs, quite honestly, because Bert was quite a physically strong person.
Right.
And I think that's it. I think alcohol, like with a lot of people, it changes the personality.
On
And
the last night of the workshops, John used to sort of be allowed to have a few drinks, and it always went absolutely ballistic.
Did he really?
It did, yeah. I remember going through, oh, hey John, all right? He said, fuck off, John.
Really?
Totally different man.
Oh yeah.
Because he was so gentle spirit, so loving, and yet a drink would just turn him into a...
Fortunately, I never saw him like that, but I knew there was a side of him that could be quite scary.
Yeah, it was really quite funny.
Yeah. Bert was the same.
Yeah.
You get on the wrong side of Bert, you say the wrong thing.
Yeah.
So you got this, sparks would fly. You got two creative forces that have been through all this stuff together. And of course there would be a lot of jealousy as well. You know, Bert was doing this, and you know, I don't think it went down too well with John that Bert got this, this documentary on him and books being written about him,
Yeah, sorry.
And ego's a terrible thing. Ego's a terrible thing. But yeah, I would say it was down to the booze. Yeah. And then when they got back together again, it was closer than ever.
Yeah. There's a lovely scene of them together, and Bert says, "Oh, do you want a cup of tea, John?"
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like a couple of really softies,
Yeah. Yeah.
Billy Connolly documentary.
I'm not. There's a scene where John's trying to compose something, and he's saying he's trying to write down the chords that Bert's. Yeah, that's right. That's right. He's trying to write down the chords and get it, get it on record, and that's where they had the cup of tea.
Yeah, that was in his house in Hammersmith. Yeah, he had a little flat in Hammersmith. Yeah. It is just the way it was.
You never saw John like that? You never actually...
No, I never did, fortunately, no.
Wow. Did you ever hear Jackson C. Frank play?
I knew Jackson, yeah. Yeah, I actually had how arrogant is this? I actually played him my version of Blues Run the Game and he liked it. It's always widdly-diddly hammering on and pulling off,
Can we have that now?
Hey, Gordon, that's really nice. Hey, thanks, Jackson. Jackson was a sweet man.
Yeah.
Very, very sweet, humble man. Very, very tortured person, very damaged, of course, from childhood and everything else. But I feel very privileged that I used to see him on occasion. And it was a Bromley Folk Club. That's where he was playing, and I opened up for him.
Well, you did his own number.
Yeah, I played him. Not in front. Not.
So you would be friends for life.
Yeah. I mean, that would have been a bit. I mean, that really would have been a bit out of order. It's like when I was down the Cousins one night, and it was David Graham's night, and and people would turn up, can I play? And he was desperate. I went down. I said, "Oh, David, can I do a spot? I haven't bought a guitar." He said, "Yeah, sure." He said, "You can borrow my guitar." So he hands me the Gibson that he did Folk Blues and Beyond on, right? The Gibson. And I picked it up, and I went, "Oh, God, the action's a bit heavy, Davey." Oh, I don't. What strings are these? I don't like these strings. And he looked at me like this. And I looked back. I thought, "How dare you?" If that had been me, I would again. I would have done, and quite rightly so. How dare I? He's loaning me his guitar so I can play, and I'm moaning because the action's a bit heavy and I didn't like his strings. But I was only 18, so you're kind of excused. Yeah.
Did you run into Steve Tilston much?
Yeah, yes, I see a lot of Steve.
Yeah. Was he kind of part of the team, or was he a little?
No, Steve sort of became part of the team when he joined John's group. They had a group called the Ship of Fools.
Ship of Fools, yeah, okay.
But Steve was really part of the Bristol scene.
Well, yeah, he went after a bit of a spell in London, didn't he?
Yeah, he was part of that. I always sort of thought of him as being the Bristol thing.
Yeah.
And there would be the Bristol Troubadour Club, and then the Cousins. So there'd be that scene up there, and this is, I suppose, it's like Scotland and London. That whole scene that was going on there. Did you mention Billy Connolly? Somebody mentioned Billy Connolly. Yeah. Oh, the documentary. Yeah.
That's what that scene was that you were talking about, I think.
Yeah.
Was it?
Acoustic Roots.
Yeah.
That was the documentary that sent me to the guitar shop to buy my first guitar.
Yeah, really.
I saw that just by chance. I was flicking,
And you thought,
and I saw Wes Jones sitting playing Angie.
Yeah.
I was just like, I need to learn to do that. So I went to the guitar shop that weekend.
oh, should I play Angie for you? That reminds me. Do you want to hear my version of Angie? Is it?
Yeah, just to make it interesting.
Yeah,
We might write a new song.
you never know. Called Manji.
Mangold.
That's Indian, isn't it, Manji?
I've been a fan of theirs ever since then.
I thought Ralph made a good fist of his version of Angie at that concert, didn't he?
He did. He absolutely did. Yeah, absolutely did. Unlike Martin McCarthy and his Rosemary Lane.
Where he forgot the words.
4 times.
But you can forgive him because he's lovely. What a lovely human being. You ever met him?
Yeah. You know those strings he uses. It's crazy.
That tuning, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but they are 66 gauge.
Cables,
He did tell me what they were, and he uses,
Yeah.
because I spoke to him the other week, I said, that tuning, Mark. He said, yeah, I use something 14 to 66 or something, especially. Imagine going into a shop, I want a set of 14 to 66, please. Ernie balls, have you got them?
Eliza was on the radio this morning.
Hey?
Eliza was on the radio this morning.
Was she?
Yeah.
Okay.
On Saturday Live.
Oh, great. Yeah, I love Martin, he's great. About a year ago, I was playing at Robin Hood's Base, where Martin lives, at a pub called the... there's a pub, actually, run by my friend Steve Phillips, a brilliant blues musician. And I just was doing like the floor, the interval section, you know. You just do it as a bit of fun. It was my way of getting back into playing after being ill. And I was just about to play, and the door opened, and Martin Carthy walks in. Thought, what are you doing here? He said, I come to see you. So I heard you haven't been very well, and I said, great. And he sat down, and he was as close to me as you are for the whole set. So no pressure then, right? And I started playing one piece. I thought, blow it. So I stopped it. I said, I'm not playing this. So I started playing Angie instead. Bit different, wasn't it?
Tell me you opened for Davy Graham by playing that. Or for Bert by stealing their thunder and playing that as an opening for them.
I did play it actually in front of Bert at a concert I was doing at the Purcell Rooms. He and Lauren were in the audience. And I was launching an album called Giantology. It's a 6-tracks EP thing dedicated to him. That was a great thrill and honour and a lovely memory to actually have played it for him.
Yeah. There's a track on that called Roots, which I don't recognise.
Yeah. Do you want to hear it? And
well,
I tell you...
If you're not getting too tired...
No, I'm fine. I'm fine. actually one of mine, but it's inspired by
Oh yeah.
Bert,
Yeah.
Blackwater Side.
So did you ever have a moan about Led Zeppelin?
No, bless him, I did though. And I've been around the house a few times. I said, oh, but he said, Gordon, he said, in the end we just gave up. The record company screwed it up way back. They could have taken them to court, but they didn't have the right lawyers or didn't have the clout to fight it. And in the end, he said, I couldn't be bothered.
Small record label versus huge one.
Yeah, exactly. And Lauren said, Gordon, we could afford it. She said, but I wasn't going to risk everything we worked for.
Yeah.
You know, they bought a nice flat, but had his own studio, and you just have to let it go. I think Bert was less uptight about it than anybody really. But I can understand. It's like Carthy and Paul Simon and Scarborough Fair all those years.
But he did get some money.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know what the figure was, but he sorted them out. Yeah.
Didn't Dylan nick a Carthy tune as well?
Yeah. Well, Dylan nicked a lot of traditional stuff, didn't he? Yeah, but it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't blatant. That blatant as you know. It's like with Jimmy Page and Blackwater Side. They're so blatant.
They made a career out of it, really.
Wasn't the only one.
No, yeah, they're known for that, weren't they, Zeppelin? Sorry?
Plant goes and sings at the concert.
Sorry then.
Sorry. Yeah.
He's a nice bloke, Planty, though, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's all right. Yeah, Page is all right as well. I met him once. But no one's as nice as Martin Carthy. Lovely human being. Yeah, you know, with Bert, with the. So you got that riff, and I wrote this thing called Roots, which goes. See where the influence comes in. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for listening.